Alright, so now we're going to do continue with some cleanup work here. You can see we have some flags on the back corner, and if we take a closer look, you can see that our top back of curb didn't elevate properly all the way around, mainly because we didn't have any surface data in the back for it to work off of. So we're going to fix that fairly quickly here. We'll start with the building corners. Now if we come over here and we zoom in on this corner over here, we will see that, you know, where our curb line is higher than where our building is. So to fix this, we're simply just going to put a vertical point along this building. So we're going to go in and edit this, and we're going to add a vertical point, and that point's going to be at that location there, and the elevation will be along the line for the top back of curb. So we'll save that, and you'll see that's going to adjust that, and therefore that should clean that area up in there. We'll come over to this side over here. This one's a little bit different in that we've got some lines that are extending over into the building. So with this one, what we're going to do is we're going to use our trim command first. So we're going to go to CAD, we're going to do the trim, we're going to choose trim, bounding line is going to be the building, and then we're going to trim off that, and we will trim off that. Actually, do our building line, that one, and we're going to cut that one. So now what we need to do is close this, and it looks like, if we look here, we've got an extra point there. So we've got a vertice point there, and then a vertex here as well. So if we take this one and let's leave that for a second and actually edit this one over here first. So let's pick this line, and what we want to do is we want to set this elevation to that building, because we use that building corner to get this proper grade. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go a long line snap, which would be this one. We'll pick that point there, and we'll hit save, and that should adjust that. Now to be sure, if we did it right, if we go to build surfaces, it should get rid of that flag, or at least one of them. So it got rid of that flag. We still have this flag over here. What we want to do for this one is we want to set the elevation of these points here so that it's a ½ a foot, or we could actually, to be honest with you, we could actually just get rid of that point there, but we want to be basically 50% above this curb. So if we use this command, offset slope, and we reference this line, our cross slope is going to be basically 50%, and then the distance would be at this point right here. So it's going to adjust that to just to make sure that it's the proper elevation from here, right? Now we have to go back and edit the curb line like we did on the other side and put in a elevation. So we're going to add in another vertical point. We're going to add in that vertical point here, and the elevation will be along the line of this at that point. So it's just going to adjust that building corner there, right? We got a high spot here, so maybe we come down to that building, we put in another high spot. So you can see it's sloping back towards the building, and that's what our slope arrows. We actually want it to slope away from the building. So we want to account for this high spot. So what we're going to do is we'll use that same command called offset slope, and the reference line will be the top back of curb. The cross slope will be a 1%, and then the distance we'll pick right at that high spot. Okay, and you can see that that's actually probably going to be higher than our building. So it depends on our exaggeration here. So if we take a look at this, that actually, what's that elevation is actually 455, is a ½ a foot higher. So let's just make it the same as the finished floor, and we'll save that. Okay, so now when we rebuild the surfaces, we can see that we're still sloping back to the building, into the building in this area. So what we may have to do is adjust this over here. It looks like we got another flag We did our flag back here. So let's zoom in on that. And yeah, it looks like so we're off. Yeah, we need another vertice point there because it's so tight. We're just going to do that, and the elevation will be along the line snap of this, and pick there and save that, and that should be a little bit better. Okay, so get rid of that flag there. So we still have a little bit of a slope issue here. If we look at this command here in this tool, you can see we're actually pretty flat, you know, through here. As we're coming down here, we're pretty flat. So we may just have to tweak this down a little bit to make sure our slope, but we can take a look at that later. Let's adjust the rest of this curb line. So going back to this curb line, this is where we start to have our issue of it not being a half a foot higher. So the same thing we just did, we're just going to use this offset slope and set some points around this curb line here. So we're going to add in a vertical point, and we'll start at this point here. We're going to use the cross slope or offset slope, reference line being the bottom of curb, cross slope being 50%, and then our distance will be there. So we're just going to elevate that point there. We'll do the same thing here. We're just going to work our way around, elevating each of these key points. So make sure we hit where we've got our transition lines. Okay. We'll hit this point over here. Do the same thing here. Come down here. We'll set one, make sure we got one at that point. We'll make sure we got one at this point. We'll make sure we got one in the corner. At this high point there. And at this point over here. And then you'll see here, as we come down, we got to put one at that point there. Okay. So now if we rebuild the surface, it cleans it up a lot better, right? So you got some little triangulation, tessellation over there that we can work on cleaning up as well. But for the most part, we've got our grading plan. Again, if we exaggerate a little bit, you can see our slopes of how things are sloping. So remember, we're exaggerating this so we can see where our low spots are fairly easy. Make sure everything's grading and draining the way it is, except up in here, we may have to adjust this a little bit so that it flows away from the building. But we might be okay with that. Okay. So now we got a basic grading of the parking. There's a few other things that we're gonna want to do to finalize some of the detailed grading. We'll cover that in the next video.